Hey, this is Seth at Monstah Capital, and we are starting from the beginning with stocks. I'm going to break down what I know and try to take that fear out of investing so it's easy and fun to understand. So today we're going to be diving into how stocks are looked at, valued, how they're originated, and how they're classified, because there's a lot more to stocks than just buying and selling. So first up, let's talk about common stocks, preferred stocks, and ADRs. Common stocks, sometimes referred to as equity or cash, is the classic example of a stock. 99% of the time when I speak about a stock, I'll be referencing this. So when you buy a common stock, you're buying a little piece or percentage of a company, and you even get voting rights to help make company decisions, like who's on the board of directors, changes in corporate governance, etc. There's a lot of other things too. Preferred stocks, called PREFS, on the other hand, don't usually give you a vote, but they pay a steady dividend, which is a payment to stockholders. So you think of a PREF as almost like a hybrid between a bond and a stock. Preferred stocks are great if you're looking for a little bit more stability and a regular income. ADRs. So ADRs stand for American Depository Receipts. They're negotiable security instruments that are issued by a US bank that represent shares in a foreign company without them having to be listed. There's a lot more to ADRs, from accounting standards, FX risks, whether they're sponsored or not, how their shares are fungible through cracking and collapsing. And some notable ADRs like Nintendo, ticker NTDOI, Alibaba, ticker BABA, and TSMC, ticker TSM. So every desk I've ever been on, I've been the ADR guy. Maybe it's because I'm American, it's not because I'm great at math, okay? But it's brutal and it's costly if you get the math wrong. I think I'm just the guy who's like, whatever, I'll do it. And I think that's how I became the ADR guy. All right, next up, numbers versus charts. Think here, nerds versus jocks. You can put it in the way, but how do you value stocks and identify when to buy or sell? Well, the two most common ways are fundamental and technical analysis. So this is a topic in and of itself, and I really believe it's worth its own video. So I will do that in the coming weeks, I promise. But let me just give you a quick overview of each, and then we'll move on. But fundamental analysis, so you think of this as the process of really digging into a company's financial health and asking, what exactly is this company worth? So investors using fundamental analysis, they look at things like profits, assets, and growth potential to see if a stock's price matches its intrinsic value, meaning its true worth. This is done by going through different types of financial statements and utilizing key ratios to quickly ascertain a snapshot into a particular metric you really want to focus on. Long-term investors tend to focus more on fundamental analysis. Technical analysis, otherwise known as astrology for men.
Oh my God, dude, what's your sign? Bullish engulfing.
This approach is more about spotting trends and predicting stock price movements based on patterns. It doesn't focus on a company's fundamentals at all. Instead, it's about understanding market behavior and the psychology of the market. This is achieved by using different chart patterns, volume, and historical data, and putting that all together. The other thing is that I use specifically technical analysis for is I need it to identify my entry and my exit points. I look at psychological levels in the stock, where trendline support, resistance are. There's a channel established. Will it break through the bottom trend? How's the relative strength index looking? How's the MACD looking? And these are all things that I'll get into when I break down fundamental and technical analysis into the nitty-gritty. But I use technical analysis to see where I get in and where I get out. The OG of thematic investing, growth and value stocks. As economist Philip Fisher once said, the stock market is filled with individuals who know the price of everything, but the value of nothing, right? This quote fits in really well with growth stocks, which are all about the future. So they look really expensive versus their peers when using different financial assessment metrics in the current time period. These are companies that are expected to grow quickly, so they often reinvest their profits back into the business, whether it be in R&D, research and development, PP&E, property, plant, equipment, or in people, etc. There's a lot of other things too. So instead of paying dividends out to shareholders. For me, with growth companies, it really starts and stops with whomever's calling the shots, like the quality of their management. If it's some cowboy in the seat that has really good intentions from the start, but now has kind of lost the plot, it's tough for me to move any further and look past that. So again, management's the key. Value stocks. How do I explain a value stock? You know in that movie Varsity Blues, James Van Der Beek is getting absolutely no reps and no love.
But I don't want your life.
And he's backing up for Paul Walker, but Paul Walker gets hurt, so he has to go in there, and then he ends up crushing it because he's always been super good, but he's just been overlooked. It's a bit like that. There's stocks that seem so undervalued or cheap compared to their actual worth. Many value stocks also pay dividends, so you can get income and the potential for share price appreciation. For me personally, to play value stocks, I generally wait for one-off bad news to hit a stock I like or a market downturn, and then I put a position on and I use that level as my base, and then tactically buy on dips and sell on pops off of my entry price. I use stops and limits to navigate the volatility and limit my losses and take advantage of the pops. So check out my video on stops and limits. Bigs and littles.
Hey, little littles, your bigs are here.
Ever heard of blue chip stocks? These are big, reliable, large cap companies that have been around a while, like Walmart, JP Morgan, Apple, Coca-Cola. And blue chip stocks are great for investors looking for stability, and they often pay consistent dividends. Why are they called blue chips? Well, it all goes back to poker, where blue chips are often historically of the highest denomination. Shout out to Paulson, my favorite chip maker. Penny for your thoughts, mate.
Penny Hardaway has unlimited potential.
So penny stocks are super low cost stocks, usually under $5 a share. While they might look tempting because of their low price, they're high risk. So penny stocks are often newer, smaller companies, and that can be very unpredictable. People might buy them hoping for big gains, but just remember, that can be a lot like going to the casino and playing a little bit of craps. If you want to know more about pink sheets and OTC traded stocks, then you're talking to the wrong Seth.
Hello?
Hi, Harry. Seth Davis over at JT Marlin. How you doing this morning?
Fine, thanks.
Divvy, 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 can't you see? Every year the stock compensates me. Now, if you're looking for regular income from your stocks, look at stocks that have a high dividend payout ratio, which shows the percentage of a company's earnings paid out as a dividend to shareholders. Just remember, over 100% is not sustainable because that means they're paying over the amount of profit that they have attained to shareholders. These stocks belong to companies that share their profits by paying dividends regularly. It's like getting a loyalty check just for holding on to the stock. Dividend stocks are popular with investors who want steady passive income along with the possibility of some stock appreciation. I would also add that sometimes the dividend being paid out is more important than the price you are paying for the stock. So stocks are also categorized by their sizes. No cap. I think I'm just too old to say that, actually. Next, we have stocks by size.
Small cap,
Mid cap,
and large cap.
The size of a stock or market capitalization is basically the total value of all its shares. Small cap stocks are smaller companies. They can grow quickly but are riskier. Mid caps are a balance between growth and stability. And large caps like Apple and Microsoft are big, established companies that are more stable. Investors often separate small and mid caps from large caps, and they refer to the small and mid caps as SMIDs. See what they did there? SMIDs. Small and mids. SMIDs. As Warren Buffett once said, an IPO is like a negotiated transaction. The seller chooses when to come to market, and it's unlikely to be a time that's favorable for you, okay? Remember that. IPO stands for Initial Public Offering. This is when a company first starts selling its shares to the public. The reason companies want to face this added financial scrutiny and open themselves up to even more increased regulation is simple.
Show me the money!
That's what they want. They want money. Money for expansion, to increase economies of scale, and to help them grow. IPO stocks can be exciting, but it's also unpredictable as they're brand new to the market. You want examples? Sure, okay. Recently, Belite Bio, which ticker BLTE, it listed for $6 a share. It's a biopharm company. What they do is irrelevant. I'm not pitching it. I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying it has been a great IPO. It listed at 6, and last I saw was 82.5 last price. So that's a 13.8 times multiple right there. So that's decent. That's decent. For a poor performing IPO, there are many, but look no further than Pets.com. This company wears the crown as it filed for bankruptcy 9 months after listing. Literally, IPO to liquidation in 268 days. This is the one that everyone talks about and alludes to from the dot-com bubble in the early 2000s. If you're a new company, don't be pets.com. Last but not least, but probably the most near and dear to my heart, I want to get everyone on the same page about how to speak about a stock when you're buying or selling. When you buy, you bid for. You lift, you take, or you say mine when a broker offers you stock. When you sell, you hit, you offer at, you lose, or say yours when a broker bids you for stock. So let's read an order blotter together. So an order blotter, otherwise known as an order book, a bid-ask screen, in Japanese called a baikai. So let's look at what I have on the screen here. Let's call the stock Optiver. I basically just scraped this off their website. They're a market maker. So let's say the stock opened unchanged. It's up about 200 bips on the day and about 500,000 shares have traded, okay? Yo, Seth Monstah, Optiver, where's the market on that? Where's it trading? The market is 44.6 by 44.62. Currently, there's 146 shares offered at 44.62 by 44.6, bid for 122 shares. That's where the market's at. Do you want to buy or sell? And can I put that on risk? Can I get you going? How big's your order ticket? Whatever, I mean, I'm just saying. But that's basically how we do it. But do me a favor, or we'll never ever be friends, okay? Don't this up. You bid for, you offer at. Let me tell you a story. Sure, story time. 2004, just starting out, a few months in, trading what was originally a $10 million ticket of Sony. I'm buying, and a guy calls up and he's like, "Hey Seth, so you bought those $10 million of Sony?" "No, not yet." "Okay, when you finish, give me a call and I'll reload you." "Okay, bro." "Hey bud, it's Seth here. I just finished buying up that $10 of Sony. I was lifting bids and we got done." And he goes, "Huh? Are we buying or selling?" "Oh, we're buying." All right. You said lifting bids. I wasn't sure. "Okay, reload you. Take another 15. Work me 25% in line, and give me a call when we're done." "Hey, dude, Seth here. Hey, just finished up. I hit every offer I could, and I got us done." "Dude, what are you talking about? If you screw this up one more time, I'm gonna reach this phone and I'm gonna break your fucking neck. Do me a favor. If you ever want to be on this account ever again, never fuck this up. You lift offers, you hit bids. Now take another $15 and tell me when I'm done. And do not ever fuck this up again." And yeah, that's the story. This is why I hate talking to real estate guys who say they want to make me an offer and buy a house. Like, I just don't understand that. To me and most guys in the markets, like, this brings about the same sensation as chewing on a piece of aluminum. Like, that's how bad it is. Anyway, so there you have it. Those are the main types of stocks out there. Whether you're looking for fast growth, regular income, or something new, there's a stock type out there for you. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe, stay in the loop, and let me know in the comments what type of stocks do you invest in, or if there's something you want me to get a bit more deep in the weeds about, I'd be happy to do that, so just let me know. But before I sign off, I just wanted to fill you guys in a little something nice I did for someone today. I mentioned James Van Der Beek in the video, and upon further deep diving on James Van Der Beek, who I love, adore, and wanted to be when I was a kid, when he was on Dawson's Creek, despite not understanding half the vocabulary of the show, I found out he recently revealed that he has colorectal cancer. So I was a little bit shocked by that. So the only thing I can say to that is hopefully there is a positive light on this, and that, you know, him having this will bring awareness to what is the second deadliest cancer in the US. But with proper screening, it's also one of the most preventable. So go get checked. I did. I'm not gonna say it's a lot of fun, but I did it.
This one goes in your butt.
And I'm happy I did. But anyway, thanks for watching. And remember, kindness is the rent we pay on earth. So do something nice for someone. And honestly, I wanna know about it. Put that in the comments below. I wanna know something nice you did for someone, no matter how small. It can be like my daughter. Every day, she either holds the door open, she picks up pencils that fell on the ground, or she lets someone else use her pen. You know what? You gotta start somewhere. Take care.